Like, ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? Ayy, coming down like precipitation. I ain't never met a limitation. Hater plotting my elimination. Gotta go to Google for the information. I'm a superstar, so I gotta shine. Top dollar be the bottom line. Bottom feeding niggas out of line. Turn your heart rate to a dotted line. Yeah, my zodiac probably dollar sign. Got the energy to win it, my nigga, I'm feeling great. Got a day with destiny, focusing on my fate. I don't give a fuck what you rapping, you been a fake. I'm everything that they ain't, it can't be, it won't be. Wanna see me fall, I can't go, I won't leave. Coming from the block with plain clothes and police. Straight up to the top with bankrolls and rollies. Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? Ayy, 12 can't really stop shit, so I'm still pushing like a mosh pit. Ice dripping, think I'm hot shit. In a yellow bucket with the mop stick. I've been jugging jams like wholesale. Everything must go sell. Hitting bitches with the oh well. Need 100 million on the low scale. On my worst night, I'm the best nigga. Wouldn't mess with you, couldn't cap to him. Homie spotted me like 700, brought 1100 right back to him. If I can't do it, then it ain't real. I just make dollars, I don't make deals. I've been going hard in the paint, still blowing kush clouds till I can't feel like. Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right?
deciding match. Both of these teams, MYNT and the team formerly known as Dorado Gaming Theta, are currently 3-3 in Group A with a even match score of 7-7. Whichever team wins this series today locks that guaranteed minimum 4th playoff seed for Group A, and the other team, their season's done.
Yeah, this is basically as tense as it gets, considering the rest of the standings as far as the bracket's concerned. There's only one other kind of close placing between in Group C between Conduit Landslide and TSG White, which is not exactly in TSG's control. It kind of relies on Conduit losing that one
Mm-hmm.
for them to have a good shot. So either way, this is the big one here. So Bollywood Billionaires, so I'll say their name, versus MYNT here is gonna be the matchup here for the final playoff slot in Group A.
Yeah, this should be a heck of a matchup. This is a season decider. We've had all 6 previous weeks of our regular season. They're all lining up for this. It doesn't matter how well you played in the previous weeks. It doesn't matter what kind of absolute turbo stomp smurfing games you had. If you lose here, that's kind of it.
Yeah, so I'm excited to see this game kind of play out. We are on a new patch for Vanquisher at least,
25-22, yeah.
25-22, which doesn't seem to bring too many big changes besides some rune changes. So just slight alterations on what you
Mhm.
actually pick up. I think most notably Biscuit delivery got nerfed a little bit, so some of that
And
extra
thank
laning
God for
power,
that.
that extra laning power you're usually afforded for just taking that rune has been taken down just a little bit. So either way, it should be a pretty standard thing, and I assume to see pretty similar drafts as last patch, since no
Mhm.
real big major landscape changes have kind of occurred since then.
Yeah, I do think a couple of the interesting changes are really in that inspiration tree. You were talking about it earlier. I want to talk about the cashback change. 6% to 8% on paper doesn't seem like a lot, but it is a lot of money to get back. And for some players who like to rush those tier 2 boots first, especially, it may be worth considering if you want that inspiration tree secondary, if you want that cosmic insight, or if you want the newly buffed triple tonic. Maybe grabbing cash back is better for you, especially for the support players who really do rely on those tier 1s and tier 2s for that roaming power. We'll have to see if we see any of those rune changes as we're going to get onto the Rift here. It is the team formerly known as Dorado Gaming Theta, Bollywood Billionaires, and MYNT, team formerly known as Dorado Gaming Theta, is on the red side, banning out that Wukong. MYNT is banning away the Draven and the Gwen. We'll have to see. So far, so similar with a lot of these bans.
Jarvan Wukong, so a lot of heavy pressure onto those AD junglers. There is still Xin Zhao on the table as that kind of final
That guy
real
died.
strong one in the jungle, which is pretty interesting. Akali getting banned as well, so a lot of focus towards kind of AP top side here with that Draven as well, so getting rid of some of that power in the top side, and then a good power point that you can play around with the Draven. Akshan getting banned out is pretty cool, considering that is one of the champions that did get buffed in this most recent patch, so we're just going to start off with a Smolder lock-in. That is very
Molder
interesting.
blind first pick. It does technically have flexibility with mid and bottom lane. I'd expect it to go bottom lane. Uh, but that's a very honestly kind of a weak first pick. It's not the strong dominant laning phase you really expect. It is your like guaranteed scaling champion. So like eventually over the course of the game you'll get that late game as it's going to be responded to with that Tristana and the Victor. So Tristana not being flexible, that one's going to be stuck in bottom lane. And if that's up against Smolder, if you pair it up with an engage support, we see like a Nautilus, Arella, Leona, life's going to be difficult for this Smolder.
Yeah, I actually like both of these picks here for the Tristana and the Victor. Both of these do well into the Smolder, so if they end up flexing it towards mid, that would still be a kind of difficult matchup. So it looks like they're locking in that it's going to be the Victor versus the Orianna in the mid lane. So a very standard matchup with a Volibear in the jungle, which is also a recently buffed champion. Pretty strong as well, so you band away a couple AD junglers, you're going to go down the list just a little bit. You're going to find Volibear and Xin Zhao, those ones as well. So not too surprising here. Nautilus going to be the pair up. Very strong duo with the Tristana, of course. And having the guaranteed point and click engage onto a Smolder can be very big. I'd like to see a little bit of follow up on top of it for the side of the Billionaires. just so you can actually lock it down. We've seen some issues with Tristana actually being able to find kills early on, so having some sort of follow up would be good here. And
I
we're gonna get
expect
some standard
Alistar
bans.
maybe banned as well, just because that is a great counter engage. We're gonna see the Leona banned. I expect Mint will probably pick up the Alistar just because it has such a good defensive matchup versus the Nautilus, especially with the Tristana as well, as it's a little bit more difficult to buffer the jump with the layering of CC that Alistar does. As long as you time the headbutt pulverize correctly, you can beat out the buffer, which is a really crazy micro interaction that you're gonna have to be good on to do if you are bots maven on Mint. So I expect that we'll see that one locked in. It just seems like the right one to go with for the Smolder, unless you're going to opt for like an Enchanter support. But versus Nautilus Pantheon, I think picking an Enchanter is a little illegal.
Yeah, so it will be that Alistar lock-in, so having some good pressure and also establishing a really good front line now. I do expect a pretty high damage top laner here, but it's going to be the complete opposite, and it's just going to be the Scion. So they're going full indexing towards this Orianna Smolder carry composition. So if you get another beefy champion in this top side, I can see it being pretty difficult for Mint to actually get through. But Billionaires have other ideas. It's going to be Darius to kind of chop through the Scion and try and get onto that back line after you're able to establish a couple kills. But Darius really struggles into Alistar, so I'm kind of interested to see how well this is going to work out for him, considering how it's currently looking. So I don't know, definitely some opportunity here for the side of Mint to take advantage of.
Yeah. Now, we've seen compositions like this before in Vanquisher, the ones that are very scaling focused, very late game oriented. We're going to pick the Smolders, the Oriannas, the Victors, even the Synders to a certain extent. Lanes that are like, these are not winning lanes. We're going to grab our Scion on the top side, grab the Ornn. We're going to play passive, play for that late game scaling. And oftentimes, you don't get to that actual late game point because you end up just getting forced out in the early game. And especially with champions like Nautilus and Pantheon, BB have the opportunity to actually just lock things down in the early game. That first 5 to 10 minutes is going to be like storming the beaches for Mint, because they are just going to have to survive, and it's not going to be easy.
Yeah. I don't know. If I had to predict either team, I generally have just favored the compositions that are kind of fighting into the Scion with a really aggressive pick just so far, based off historically in Vanquisher this season. We've seen the set, for instance, dominate the Scion on the top side, and I expect something kind of similar, and there hasn't been enough of, a response on the other side of the map when the Scion's losing to actually justify a losing matchup like that. So I'm pretty interested to see whether Mint's going to be able to stabilize. You don't really have good lanes to play around. Orianna,
Yeah,
can
I worry
establish
for
some
Luckified in
prio.
this game.
Yeah, but Orianna can't establish prio. Smolder really isn't going to establish prio against a Tristana for sure. So, if Luckified, you're on your own. You're going to have to find some unique angles to actually get these ganks, because they're not going to be gifted to you at all.
Yeah, playing for counter ganks, trying to track Noah in the jungle at the very least and keep your eyes on this Pantheon, but that's a very difficult skill in and of its own. It's one that I don't have mastery of at the very least, as I don't play the jungle role. But it's not the easiest thing in the world to be able to mark the enemy jungler on every camp that they're going to, any gank that they're trying to make happen. So this is going to have to be, I feel, a legacy game for Luckify to just make it to that mid and late game, and then hope your team is strong enough that you're able to outlast this comp from BB, because you have the Darius, you have the Tristana, you have the Pantheon, these snowball champions that if they get a lead and if they are ahead, they are so difficult to root out. Darius especially, like, yeah, you have the Alistar to disengage him, but then you're not touching the Pantheon, you're not touching the Victor, the Tristana. There are so many threats on this team, and there's not a ton of peel that Mint actually has available to them. I worry for how this comp is going to survive to get to even the mid game, let alone the late.
In draft, I was talking about, hey, you pick Tristana, Nautilus, all you need to do is pick some sort of follow-up, and there's kind of no better follow-up than another point-and-click engage with the Pantheon. So if you're Myers here, I mean, you gotta be, hey, Alistar, you gotta sit right next to me. Keep me safe the entire time. Maybe if you could get to the stage where the Smolder is able to hit Rapid Fire Cannon and Spear of Shojin, you can maybe stabilize at that point, but until then, it's not gonna be that easy. So, gonna have to be a good game here from Mint, because Billionaires have established a really solid team.
Yeah.
I I can be worried about Darius in team fights, but if the Darius just never goes to a team fight, I mean, it doesn't really matter,
Yeah,
does
what
it?
happens if he just plays side lanes? If we just have Sion forced to mark him in the side lane because Sion is probably the only one who can survive a full rotation versus the Darius, and you don't want to have your jungler off marking side lane. As soon as your jungler's not there, hey, suddenly the objective is just up for grabs. We did get word from our producer that we're having a couple of issues getting into the game itself. Hopefully, we should be in there momentarily, but it's going to be a matter of how much Riot Games wants to work with us, and that's kind of just what we're at the mercy of at the end of the day.
Yeah, we are loading back in, so don't worry about it. It'll be not too much longer of us yapping. Well, we're still gonna be yapping, but it'll be during the game. At least you got something.
Yeah, we're yapping, but then they have the pretty shiny colors to look at. Like, see, that's what I enjoy as a viewer. I love casters. I love hearing their insights, but I do need that little bit of just like little dopamine drip feed of, hey, there's bright colors on the
Dopamine
screen.
drip feed though. I don't know if you saw this, but Big Bad
Mhm.
Bear, one of the like main person who kind of leaks things for League, may have put out a video today that was like League of Legends 2 question mark.
Whoa. Given the disaster that was Overwatch 2, as much as I think the code desperately needs to update, I'm really hoping that.
Well, it sounds like it'll be like the same game, but they're gonna like overhaul the back end. So we'll see. And it's not gonna be called League of Legends 2. It'll just be a transition, but we'll see. We'll see.
If it's more like CS2 instead of Overwatch 2, that might be preferable. As we're gonna get into the Rift here. We appreciate your patience. We're on the Rift. It's game number 1. It's B, and it's MYNT. This deciding series for Group A in the Vanquisher League.
Yeah, going for a pretty interesting level 1 here. They really want to get some deep vision here on the top side, but they want to jump the Darius. You know, Darius is one of those champions that really likes to abuse an early level 1 and take some brush
In the
control.
night.
And MYNT wanted it, but now I think Fire is going to spot them on this top side. No big pings yet. Just going to be sitting.
We're
This
not
is
seeing
very
pings.
interesting.
We're seeing missing pings from BB actually, so I don't think either of the teams are actually aware of where anybody went. It was literal ships in the night. Nobody has any clue. We're seeing Fireflans take an aggressive positioning here and might actually spot out Luckified here. So he's gonna get seen there. But it's level 1 Scion, it's level 1 Volibear, not feeling
Yeah, especially not into Darius with Ghost. That is for sure. So just going to walk it out there. And no shenanigans occur level 1, which, I mean, that's a good start here for MYNT, to be honest.
absolutely.
But they did at least get a deep vision, so they're going to get some info on where the Pantheon's actually going to be pathing to. Should just be a full topside clear into going towards that bot lane. So, you know, they'll have good information on that, but they definitely know exactly where Volibear is going as well. So, gonna be pretty even trades here.
Yeah, we're
I'm
already
taking
seeing
a little more than I'm anticipating, but still going to be able to walk it out.
Yeah,
Denies,
has
I
Adorn
believe,
Shield.
at least 1 or 2 casters there.
Yeah, denied at least a little bit of experience there, and this is really good top lane fundamentals. If you are playing a lane bully, you should be playing to try and get in the face of your opponent, deny some XP as the hook does not land from false on that first look. It's level 2, it's Nautilus. Good respect from Myers and Botsman.
Yeah, Keyhall doing some good trading as well. Definitely good setup here for a Pantheon gank potentially. Since Victor can't really do a solo kill on his own, definitely needs the assistance of something like a Pantheon. Getting the Orianna to at least burn those pots early on is definitely a good thing for this matchup.
Yeah, and Orianna's already down both potions, and Olvark is under half HP, so there's a definite possibility, and we're seeing Noah look for some pathing at the very least, maybe trying to meet Luckified in the river here as the junglers are going to trade vision, and they actually are going to get into a bit of a scuffle. Mid laner starting to roam down. Noah's going to block out that lightning strike, and Olvark now potentially in trouble. Has to burn the flash, respecting the possibility of Noah flashing forward. Noah has that spear charged and ready, but does not want to flash for any sort of kill, so it's just going to be a free flash taken by...
Yeah, but you could see False already linked up on this play, can get actually a bit of deep vision here. Spot out the Volibear, who's just pathing directly top. There's no way Fire's
Whoa, flash forward from Flames, but it's right into the decimating smash! The minions are charging up. Level up from Fireflames means that there's not going to be a kill! And Ego flashes forward, breaks the furnace, takes first blood as solo!
Oh no, that is a disaster here for the Darius. You know, the Volibear was committing time towards that top side just to be able to grab the scuttle up, but was gonna just go for the top gank, but Inigo just saying, I'll do it myself, and just takes down Fireflans with a little bit of an ambitious flash forward. Noah now.
Gonna look for
Onside.
engage here. Nice two-man knockout from Botsmaven, knocking Monty into the team. Exhaust down onto the Alistar means that no extra damage is gonna come through, and the Smolder just does not have enough damage to threaten this early in the game. I like the idea of Botsmaven, but it's just a free kill to BB.
Yeah, now with Tristana, it's going to be a pretty easy time just to be able to push out this wave and get a full reset, but just going to go for the freeze instead. Myers going to try and cancel the back, so we'll be able to, and that's actually really good for the tempo here. Now Luckified on the bot side should be able to sneak into this bottom brush. So if Myers can get another cancel here on Tamani, no,
Monty's
it's not gonna
gone.
happen.
Gets the recall off. Still had a couple of biscuits in inventory even after the nerf. They're still good, but nice little buffer there from False. You know that hit that hook, you're probably losing your flash, and even with Hex Flash, good to keep that sun around.
Yeah, so far looking honestly pretty decent here for MYNT. We were talking about how it's going to be a pretty hard early game, but with that solo kill on the top side, it's definitely stabilized quite a bit. But,
Is that a cull in Inigo Montoya's inventory? Am I seeing that?
you know, just unbothered Scion gameplay.
You know what?
Typical.
I appreciate that level of confidence that you're just going to farm it out versus the Darius after solo killing him. Hell yeah, you go. As Fireplanes is going to get the hook in. Soul Furnace tanks up a decent chunk of that damage, but now the Noxia might comes through, and that's plenty of bleed. Decimating Smash, though, is going to turn around plenty of damage. And the health bar trades end up being a little bit closer than you'd expect with the start of that trade, and you have to respect just charging the Smash in the Darius's face. You'll love to see it.
Yeah, it's just this dangerous game from the Scion. You know, okay, I can just charge here, and the Darius has to make a split decision whether he's gonna commit for the extra damage because there's max stacks already, or just step out of that queue anyways. But so far, it seems like Fire just wants to push forward. So every single time, it's just been hit face, hit face. So
I feel like I'm watching
fine.
2014 Hearthstone Hunter. Go face, go face, go face.
Yep.
That's a throwback joke for anybody who was there in the Hearthstone beta.
I was not. However, there are I play One Piece, and there's definitely some times where it's just go face every time. Luckified though.
In a little bit of trouble. Only level 4 on the Volibear has to flash out of the gravity well, and now with Noah in the area, that's just a TY for the leash, and a 3,000 health dragon is going to go into the hands of Noah.
Yeah, so far the vision from False has been really solid, so getting a good advantage here for the Billionaires. Now, Smite should come through, so no real sweat there. Lamani, grabbing the CS, let's see.
They're looking for a topside play, but Fireflames is going to sniff it out at the very least. Team says, hey, Volibear was walking towards topside. Be careful, doesn't get caught out. He's even looking to potentially threaten Luckified on this Scuttle Crab as well, but in the 1v2 may not be so lucky. False, in the meantime, bottom side is going to hit the hook on the Botsmaven, but not the engage they want to take. Fireflames did have to lose that ghost up there in the top side. So Summoner down, but stays alive at the very least in the 1v2.
Yeah, now getting the shove in on the top side, so gonna be pretty chill. It sounds like most of the lanes are gonna be pretty typical. Inigo is very low on mana, but this is mostly a bait, I'm sure.
Engaged. Botsmaven knocks away Monty, but Monty has that rocket jump, and Myers is going to eat the damage from that explosive charge, but now the exhaust comes through. The barrier as well. Myers flashing forward, but you're flashing forward into the barrier. You can't take the bait. Monty cleans that one up with the help of False head and butt pulverize from Botsmaven. We'll get it back at the very least. Support kill for support kill. Blood in the bottom lane.
Portal combat denied. Bot says, I don't want any of it. Get away from me. And now False going to take the extra time to get some deep vision and make sure that Keyhall is able to stay safe on this top side. We have a Pantheon ult coming in.
Yeah, Comet Spear ready to go, gets stunned in, denies that decimating smash, and this just should be one dead Inigo Montoya unless Fire doesn't want to use the ultimate, hangs onto it, and Noah snipes him down with the Comet Spear instead. They're going to feed the kill over to the Pantheon.
Yeah, very well played there. From Noah, just noticing a timing there where the Scion's a little bit too far forward. I mean, anytime you're past about, I don't know, the third, how do we say it, like 1/3 into the lane,
yeah,
as anything into Darius, you pretty much die. So,
unfortunately, very true, especially with that global ultimate that Pantheon has available. And the global ultimates in the jungle are something that we like to talk about a lot. Your Nocturnes and your Pantheons, just the, hey, that first ultimate you do, if you're not getting, at the very least, a kill or an objective out of it, it's not a great use, and that spells a lot of trouble for what your champion can do in the mid-game. Good job from Noah. Not only gets that kill and sets up Flans to be in a bit better of a position, but it's the the Grubs as well. So big pickup for them as Mani and False are going to navigate the potential dive there on the bottom side. Pings are coming through, so it seems like BB is well aware that there's a bear in their jungle.
Yeah, they were able to spot him out with a nice ward over the wall, so stays alive on that one. Sion getting some deep vision for the rest of the team. This is the kind of
Keyhole.
homeless top lane gameplay
Keyhole
here.
is in a bit of trouble. Nice sidestep. I don't know where that unstoppable charge was going, but it was not towards Keyhole. The Victor just manages to walk away. Holds the flash as well. That was a very weird visual one, too.
You know, you said sidestep, but I gotta say that's just going wide. There was no sidestepping there from Keyhole at all. It was just
He walked
nice
in a straight line, which nobody expected.
Yeah. Ulrich's taking a ton of damage here, but
Yeah,
seems Pantheon on the
Arcane
top
Storm
side.
used by Keyhole, so trying to take the better of that trade. Blast Cone popped, and Inigo Montoya pushed away from his own lane, away from the safety of the team. Has to flash over the wall. Noah already used the flash, so is not going to be able to follow that one back up. And Levark in that mid scuffle also lost their flash, so Summoners being lost from the MYNT members, and BB are continuing to press their advantage.
Yeah. Luckify trying to find something on the bot side, but once again, your top laner's homeless, your jungler's homeless. What do you even do? This is the kind of game state I was thinking of in draft.
Yeah,
Where-
this is why we have such issues with these scaling lanes with an aggressive jungler.
Yeah, Volibear now taking away another camp. This is the second, but the Pantheon is still sitting about 2 camps up anyways. So it's just not looking the best. But these kinds of games can always swap. You know, Smolder, get your time emojis out for when he hits that 225 mark. It's definitely always
5.
Yeah, so definitely there is some potential, but definitely gonna have to play it slow and just maybe try and steal away a dragon whenever they can possibly in this early game. They are walking a bit far forward with the Volibear in the area, but there is the Grand Starfall from the Pantheon.
Yeah,
Able to
both
actually come
junglers down
in.
here on the bottom side. Luckified is going to get spotted out, so False will see that one happening, but it's still going to get comboed up by Botsmaven. TP in from Keyhole as well. Pantheon's coming down with the Grand Starfall, but False is already down. Can they manage to get anything out of it? A nice exhaust onto Noah is not going to allow the Pantheon to get a ton of damage in. Luckified on the run. Monty trying to chase it down. Myers is so low. Who can finish it off? A nice 2-man knockup for Botsmaven. Knocks away Monty as well. Meant to maybe have found their angle, but Keyhole's going to finally take down Luckified. Monty jumps in. Will blast it off into his face. Shut down over to the Orianna as well as Levark is finally going to get into the fight. The Arcane Storm onto Botsmaven will finally do just a little bit enough damage, but it's Levark picking up a double. A nice return from MYNT.
Yeah, it's a 2. Oh no, not 2 for 2 because False did go down. So actually a positive play here for MYNT, 3-2. With some nice usage of the TPs there on the very tail end of the fight. But honestly, it looked really close. I think if Levark doesn't commit the TP there, it's just a clean wipe over for the Billionaires. So definitely looking good here for MYNT. But that is kind of what they needed. They're now even in gold. They were down about a K and a half. So they are getting their way back into this one. Dragon is now up, so they can translate it into something pretty good. But with False having some extra time on the map from dying early on, they already have some of that vision control that is so needed.
Yeah, it's a play there from Botsmaven. You know me, I always like to call it the sports, see those good plays, but those pulverizes, the headbutting Monty away, that was all just great stuff from the Alistar and keeping the team alive for as long as possible to get those advantages as Noah is going to smite away the camp from Luckified. Luckified turning around to go in, but doesn't have the team around him just yet. No ult, no flash. That is a dead bear. Cocaine Bear, he is not. Myers is going to try and get in, calls Mom down for some help. False is a little bit low, trying to get on top of Levark, but Myers is actually just going to be forced to flash away Levark. Forced to auto-attack down the Nautilus, eats that, the depth charge will finally get knocked down, and now Monty jumping over the wall, hunting down fires, but already sidestepped out of the way is that baby dragon. Everyone will walk away, but EV, I think, happy to take a jungle for support.
Yeah, Noah now going to be able to get that dragon as well. Monty is walking a little bit aggressively, does actually still have the buster shot, so can actually do a full, really good combo into Myers. Probably would die if Myers wasn't expecting it, but gonna just shove in that bot lane wave. And good job from Billionaires actually, you know, kind of stabilize after a bit of an error on the bot side.
Turret plating will fall
Yeah, and again, a trait that they're happy to take. They go for 2-for-1. They get the dragon. They continue to try and press their advantage. I think the one worry for them right now is the fact that the gold is even. The fact that Ulvarik has that 1,000 gold lead over Keyhall in isolation. And yeah, Mani is a little bit behind in CS, but the kills even out that lane. It is just the fact that Ulvarik is keeping the team even in gold, which, you know, to some that might be a little bit of a fake gold lead, but I think the fact that the BB comp is not ahead at this point, strongly ahead, is a little bit concerning for them.
Yeah, the Darius hasn't really come up to a really big point, but all it takes is one fight for Darius sometimes, and
He
that's
does have
enough
a
to kind of turn the
ridiculous
tide.
CS lead.
Yeah, and also 3 plates, so definitely a lot of gold on Fire's name, but you know, whether or not it's enough to get through the CC wall of the Volibear, Alistar, and Scion is going to be a different question. So
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be pretty interesting. They are pretty heavy towards the top side here for MYNT, so Fire does have to be a little bit careful.
False, looking for an engage down here. Mama's going to be called. False already used that Aftershock, so not super tanky on the Nautilus. The Aftershock from Bots Maven, on the other hand, eats that explosive charge, so not as much damage traded back as they would have hoped, but it's just the early game of Tristana versus late game of Smolder, and right now Tristana is in her lane, thriving, moisturized, unbothered, whatever other adjective you want for winning.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just a weird state of the game because you'd expect a little bit more action on the mid lane, but you know, Alvaric's just collected the 3 kills on the bot side and been pretty happy since then, so doesn't really have to worry too much about anything. Volibear now trying to get the Rift Herald here on the spawn. Alvaric is in the area.
Jump over from Noah. Ulvarik's here. Shockwave onto Keyhall, just looking for the solo kill with the Arcane Storm and the shield from the Q. Cannot pick up the solo, and Noah's there to defend his mid laner. Luckify now on the run. Gets smited down for the extra bit of a slow, but has the blast gun there trying to escape as much as possible. Blue pet from Noah really wants to chase the kill down. Stormbreaker in from Luckify. Hit out of dodge. The Comet Spear charged up, but can't find its target, so Noah will be forced to back off, but just more early and mid domination from BB as they're going to look to take the Rift Herald.
Yeah, Alvaric, nice try there on the kill into the Victor, but just didn't have the damage to go 100-0 before the Q. Shield does come through, and Keyhall walks away with confidence, honestly. Now gonna be able to shove in that mid wave, deny a bunch of CS away from Alvaric here. Should kind of turn the tide of how it was going. I mean, that fight is just purely determined by the lane state in the top side of the Scion versus the Darius. Scion stuck under turret. Nothing he could really do to join that fight no matter what. Myers, 135 stacks. That's actually pretty decent pacing here.
Yeah.
And they have been fighting a lot on the bot side. So should be on track for a 20, maybe like a 22-minute
as long as he continues at this pace, 22, maybe 23-minute Smolder online, and given that the Dragon is not going to be the soul point is not going to be for at least another 6 or 7 minutes, you might get 225 in just the right amount of time, as Flans is going to tank up the turret shots. Unstoppable onslaught. The turret shots come through, and Ego finds Fire Flans greedy and takes him down in the solo.
Hey, number 2. Just like that, Scion, two solo kills into the Darius. Just a little bit too far forward. Fire not expecting that much wave clear to come in from the Scion, but that is what the Sunfire is designed to do here. Just going to farm out some stacks on the bot side.
Depth charge onto Ulvarik as Bots Maven plays that disengage game. False gets the hook, but it's only onto the wall. The 3-man shockwave from Ulvarik shuts down any hopes that BB had to save their bottom lane. Everybody falls. Turret goes down. MYNT are winning on the bottom side.
I mean, if you're going to play this sloppy, you're going to end up taking some L's in the early game. So, you know, a game that should be, for all intents and purposes, very much in favor for the Bollywood Billionaires early on is just looking a little bit different here. Even Scion getting the first turret on the top side.
Turret drop. It does finally drop. Keyhall will manage to take it down, but Bots Maven and Luckify are here, and they will, at the very least, get revenge for their turret. It's another kill to Ulvarik. This Orianna is now certifiably fed as heck.
Yeah, I think it's looking kind of cooked. It is Ulvarik going straight for the Rabadon's Death Cap second item, so this Orianna is going to hurt. We talk about maybe potentially having damage issues, but with this accelerated Orianna, that is not going to matter at all. So here we see False just committing for that depth charge here, but Noah isn't there immediately to just try and follow up, and they line up perfectly for a massive shockwave, and Alistar is maybe the best champion to combo there on top of it. So just really good play there from Ulvarik, and Ooh, you got to be a little bit worried here if you're now Bollywood Billionaires. They really need this dragon. This is kind of what they're playing around now, considering how the early state of things are. Fire here in the area. They
MYNT
are
doesn't
going to be able to
have
secure the
fight
dragon
this,
for it.
but BB needs to take this. They are going to grab the dragon. MYNT will just watch them walk away. I don't think MYNT needs to fight this dragon. They will end up giving it over as Botsmaven might have found False here. Headbutts away from the shockwave. Oh, after the perfect synergy earlier. That's depressing. Depth charge lands onto Alvark, but there's not a lot of follow-up. False is going to go down. Now Noah's the one in trouble. Unstoppable onslaught to the face. Botsmaven will fall, but so will Noah. Fire Flames and Lucky Fighter fighting on the left side of the fight will finally get knocked down. It's a double kill over to Alvark. Monty now trying to pump out the damage, but just doesn't have the DPS. Keyhole doesn't either, and Myers will pick up a kill. MYNT have survived. MYNT have scaled. They are online and in the game.
Oh no, it's a disaster. Alvark, I think, just straight up one-shotted Noah. It looked really bad. False's HP bar was just a little bit too far forward as well, so just gets taken down immediately. And if you look at the gold, 2,000 gold advantage there in the mid lane. Really the telltale sign of things to come. So, and they don't have the easiest team fight composition on the side of the Billionaires. They need to play more towards the side lane, but with Darius not being really off his feet, you know, you'd expect if Darius is on a good game and be already at that second item completed, working well towards the third in this one, but just has gotten neutralized for the most part, so you don't really have a good side lane to play around, so you're forced to play team fights into a team fight composition. Yeah, that's not a good sign.
Lately, this seed is great for Darius. Up 50 CS right now, having an absolute heck of a time farming, but I think if he tries to actually get into a scuffle with Inigo Montoya, I'm not so certain that he wins it. No Black Cleaver, only has that Stridebreaker in inventory. Looks like maybe a Shojin or a Sterax for the second item, and defensive itemization is not what you want to be seeing out of your Bruiser Darius in the top side.
Yeah, I think when the gold got pulled up, Darius was exactly even, despite a 50 CS lead and 3 plates. So,
which is not the spot you want to see your Darius in.
Yeah, not at all. So I think they're going to be in a pretty tough time for the rest of this game. I will say Victor is on the side lane, being able to just catch up some CS here, and no one's kind of indexing towards its Ion now, going for the back. Never mind, just cancels it. So some free time here for Keyhall to take some damage onto this one. With the 3 grubs they grabbed earlier, this is actually going to be some pretty significant damage. And they're going to have to send Myers over.
Mid as well. I mean, if BB can't win through the fights, you mentioned that side lane was going to be their path to victory, and so far, they're doing their best to open it up, and Ego's been pulled up towards the top side. The Rift Herald's going to get a charge here in the mid lane. Won't take the turret down, but it will at the very least take a chunk out of it, so the next time they do get a wave in, they can eventually take that one down. But I think if you're going to match anyone up against the Scion in this mid lane, or in the side lane, the double Vern Victor is probably exactly the person you want it to be.
Yeah, Fire now. Fire's, you know, this is still Darius. You find a carry.
Have to respect him.
Flash. You will die still, despite how the items are looking. So, you know,
he's
they
like
don't
he's
really
like
send either people over there.
He's like your old high school bully when there's like adults around, and when you've grown up, you do have to kind of
He's dead.
You don't have to worry about him as much anymore. But if you're alone, then he can still kind of beat the crap out of you. A nice hook to cancel out the stun, gets the flash away as well. But Botsmaven is here, headbutt pulverize into the wall. Redemption in as well, just trying to save him, but it's nothing doing. Alvark now dominating 9-1 on the Orianna, going for that full burst build. And one member down, it looks like MYNT are just going to turn to the Otacon instead.
Yeah, I think they realize, oh, we can't be sitting side laning against this team. Let's just force something and then go for the Otacon, and they cannot engage anything.
False looking for Alvark, but a nice flash away from the Orianna means that she's very safe, and Inigo Montoya is not the one you want to leave alone with your 80 carry as you man Shockwave, but Noah, nice cancellation on the damage. That shield coming up huge, a massive Aegis. Noah still tanking up damage, and Montoya just so tanky on the front line. You can't be diving greedy for plays like that. Alvark now godlike as Bonnie and False are on the run. A nice attempt at a play. They'll get the mid lane turret, but they'll lose their jungler for it.
Yeah, they also get the top lane turret, so some pretty good gold comeback here on the top for the red side here, but they're still 4K down, and also that extra bonus XP from the Otacon is definitely playing a significant factor here as well.
Bonus stats, oh boy.
Level 13 Smolder. Ooh, that is gross. while your Tristana's sitting at a measly level 11. So
Yeah,
Smolder
remember when Monty
definitely,
had like a 20 CS lead over Myers like
yeah.
10 minutes ago in this game? What happened to that? Where did that go?
Everything just vanishes when the Smolder is able to actually win a team fight in pre 10 minutes. So
Yeah, he also went for a slightly greedier build by going for the Infinity Edge second as opposed to the Rapid Fire Cannon. But it means that even before he hits 225, which he does have now, he's online. He will do plenty of damage. The Q scaling with that critical strike damage matters so much for the Smolder in these mid-game fights. And at 2.5 items, he's a bit scary, but they're going to flash engage onto Noah instead. He's out of position, and he's caught out. And Eagle Montoya, in the meantime, is caught out, but he's a tanky Scion. He doesn't care. Unstoppable onslaught into the backline, trying to get in. Boss is going to cancel out the devastating smash with the hope of Mani. Eats the full damage from Mom. Half health down already as Botsmate is going to get the combo in. Alvark found Keyhole on the side. Mani's forced to jump away with that exhaust. Fireflames will get a decimate, but it's only the one as Myers goes unstoppable and will pick up a second. That baby dragon is a baby no longer, and MYNT are in full control of the game.
well, I think they just have to look towards the next one. You know, you drafted the early game composition. It didn't work out in the way you were hoping. So it seems like the Smolder Oriana teamfight composition with the Scion, Volibear, Alistar is going to be able to take this one in pretty commanding fashion after, you know, the typical slight rough early game that you would have expected.
Woo! That's a little bit of damage on Mani, about half HP with one combo from the Smolder, another Q, and maybe that's a dead Mani, but it just survived this time around. Defends that bottom side turret as well, and yeah, this is the pain point for the early game team. You didn't manage to push your advantages enough. You didn't manage to get enough of a lead early on into the game and pressure down a lot of these scaling members, and now Olvark had that early triple kill, now sitting on 3 items. Myers got to farm up, also sitting on 3 items, nearly 3.5. And your top lane carry got behind. Your jungle carry couldn't put enough pressure on the map. I think you're right. I think it is just a matter of, hey, how do we deal with this next draft? What are we doing after this?
You know, I have to make a rogue comment here. When was the last time I saw Tristana work that wasn't in the mid lane? I feel like every time I see this champion in the bot lane, it's just fraudulent.
You know what? Maybe the Tristana in Vanquisher is our version of the Jarvan at Worlds. Even though Jarvan actually ended up having a pretty decent record at Worlds as false. Looking for Olvark. Shockwave in onto Noah, but Olvark is left alone and no defensive itemization on that. Oriana means shut down over to Fireflans. They're going to find Botsmaven as well, even through the unstoppable.
Baron.
That's double kill to Fireflans, and that's going to be a Baron for BB, as it looks like there should be no chance of MYNT coming in to collect.
Yeah, Sion just not in the area, you know, not respecting the global pressure that Noah can provide, but just immediately engaging in, they don't care.
To tank it. Keyhole and Myers are scrapping on the other side of the fight. Myers will win the 1v1 as Pulse is going to fall as well. Will eventually pick up Inigo Montoya, but the Baron has been stopped, and that's all that MYNT wanted to do. Fire looking for a little bit more. Luckify walked up a little bit too close without vision. Now has to be the one to back off, but Myers still does plenty of damage on this Smolder. They have to respect him. They have to be careful. Flashed in from Noah, and he's got the Aegis Assault. No true damage to come through. The Dragon Slayer slays the Smolder, and BB stay alive.
Maybe it's doable. They just have to find that again onto Olvark, who will have Flash coming up, so they use their window well. And yeah, that was probably their best shot, but even then, 3v5, they still lose. They don't lose the fight, but man, they still don't get the Baron, so that just should show you how difficult the compositions are at this stage of the game.
Yeah, and I think the big thing with this fact of itemization, there's no Seraphs, there's no Rod of Ages, no Zon Veil. These items that normally keep you safe when you're getting dove like this. It's a build that will do a ton of damage, and if the Shockwave lands, especially once they ding level 16, that's just going to be a dead team. Whoever gets hit by that Shockwave is getting deleted. But if you get hit by any of the CC from the Nautilus, from the Pantheon, even from the Darius, you're just gonna die.
Luckify now walking forward. Noah.
Botsmaven is going to keep False out of the fight. Mani, in the meantime, you gotta watch out for the Shockwave. Level 6-2 Oriana blows her up. Mom comes through to make sure the Fireplanes can't get in. Myers just looking to chase down that Darius. In the meantime, Inigo Montoya joins in the fight with that unstoppable onslaught, and Keyhole is caught, and he is dead. Business as usual. MYNT is back on top.
Yeah, that was the critical mistake there from Monty, just not respecting the vision. I think that ward was even pinged out, but just didn't expect Olvarik over the wall. Just gets immediately deleted. There is no surviving that. Rabadon's Shadow Flame, Luden's Echo. Yeah, that is a very powerful Orianna, and this is gonna be an uphill battle now. Luckified now wants to fight on the fire.
Yeah,
Might just get
Fireflies, I
taken
don't
solo.
think you win this one, buddy. Does have the stairs gauge, will heal up with that Decimate, but the members have all arrived, and Olvarik will find another kill, their 13th of the game. Yeah, do you remember what I said like 2 minutes ago? Hey, when Orianna hits 16, that shockwave is gonna kill somebody. Hey, look what it did!
Yeah, it did definitely kill somebody, like completely.
It didn't just kill Monty. Unfortunately, it deleted her off of the map. It
Yeah,
possibly tried to ban her account from Riot Games.
definitely seen some extreme actions from the Drew Levin squad recently, so honestly possible. Bots Maven now wants to find Noah. There is no follow-up. This is literally just a cow doing cow things, completely unbothered.
This is the support gambit. Sometimes you just have to act like your team is behind you. Like, yeah, I'm gonna walk at you. I've got a team behind me, even though they're 100% not there. You see it often with like Thresh players. They'll just throw a lantern behind and be like, "Are you gonna call my bluff? Is there a person on that lantern? You don't know. You don't know." And sometimes it works. Sometimes you look like a real idiot and you die. But you know, sometimes it works.
You know, luckily Alistar has a nifty ability that just you know, makes him take what, 70% less damage.
About 70% reduced damage. Yeah, it's a pretty good ability. As the dragon is going to go over to MYNT, their second Hex dragon. And BB, yeah, they got the soul point, but I don't think they get to even look at another dragon after this point.
Yeah, now Fire. Tough position. Might be able to weasel their way out, but is getting chased down,
Step a lot of
triangulated.
the vision, but Bots Maven's there, flashes away from the shockwave, and now Myers, potentially a little bit out of position, gets a lot of healing from that Decimate, has the Ghost on and the Flash, will manage to escape and gets a couple of important cooldowns. No exhaust from the Alistar, no ultimates from the mid
want this
laner or
one.
the jungler. They're going to look to fight on top of those lost cooldowns. Luckified is in the front line, but there's Mom! Pulse goes down, but so goes Bots Maven, and Eagle Montoya now to the backline of Fireplace is the one in trouble. Gets tagged by the Breath of Smolder, and Mom smites him from the heavens. A double kill over to Myers, and the rest of BB are sent scrambling back to their base.
Once again, not a bad fight here from the Billionaires, but it's just, you know, they can only find so much time before Myers starts blowing them up with each and every Q. So they found their window to find 2 kills to maybe stall out this game just a little bit, but the main force for MYNT is still alive with 35 seconds left on the Baron. This is guaranteed at least 1 inhibitor down.
That was
They just don't have the engage power.
I think that was a demolish for about half of that mid lane turret's health as Myers potentially caught here, but look at the shields, look at the defenses! Barrier and Orianna shield, it means that Myers just gets an extra half health bar. They're gonna take the inhibitor and walk away.
Yeah, so now they're going to be able to open up the map, get the pressure of that super minion in the mid lane, and I feel like the only angle is if somehow, some way, they're able to find Myers on a side wave alone. But Myers has really just been playing around at least 1 tanky body per lane that he's
Keep the
in.
Scion
So.
around or you keep the Alistar around. One of those two, as long as they're playing bodyguard to the baby dragon, you should be okay.
Yeah, now they may look for fire under the turret, and that is a
Shockwave
dead
8. Shield's gonna eat a lot of the damage, but Bots Maven finishes it off with the redemption. Another demolished proc, another tower down, and MYNT have finally decided, yeah, we can probably end the game now, and are just gonna look to force down this top lane. Fireflame's still dead for another 35 seconds, and BB, if you're gonna mount a base defense, now's gotta be the time.
Yeah, they are getting grouped on. Myers gonna take a little bit of damage, but gonna be able to trade some chip damage through. Noah now on the table, but False has to find
Bots
a good
Maven.
engagement. Bots Maven says,
Look for an engage, and nice Aegis Assault is going to keep Noah alive for at least a little bit longer, but Mom comes through, and Myers is chasing it down. One more Super Scorcher Breath, and down goes the Dragon Slayer. Revenge for Myers, as they'll pick up a double kill as well. No wave there, but I don't think they even care. They've got enough tanky bodies that they don't feel bad about it. Nigo forced to flash away. Those turret shots do ramp up over time. But as the waves come through again, yeah, Fireflames is going to respawn, but Keyhole goes down as Myers just finds him. A nice buffer there away from Monty. Shuts her down. Fireflames goes as well. And MYNT survive the early game, survive the mid game, scale up, and win game 1.
the gambit by MYNT to just say, we're drafting the team fight composition that's just gonna beat you since you cannot capitalize was correct. So they're able to actually take this game 1 and once again, we say it at the start, this is a very important series. Whoever wins this will be moving on to playoffs for the next couple weeks. Whereas, oh, I'm very blurry. Give me 1 second here.
Your camera decided. No, we don't get to. But I think what is important is looking at the numbers here, looking at stats is, yeah, it turns out when your Smolder gets to late game, he does a lot of damage.
Yeah, just a chill 45k. Despite Orianna being the real fed one, it still just hit the 45k mark, and there's no Scion to beat into. That is just true damage.
Yeah, there was no real tank, and I think that was a bit of the issue for this BB composition coming into game number 1. Yeah, they had the early game aggression, they had the Pantheon, they had the Darius, they had us control on BB. Nobody got hyper fed. Yeah, the Victor was even with Orianna, but you don't really care about that. Mani and False just couldn't do enough in the bottom side. Even with the attention of Noah, they just did enough to not lose. And I think that's the big important thing with the scaling compositions. If you're not losing, you're winning.
Yeah, so they were able to survive that onslaught, and, you know, it wasn't, you know, we were talking about how it's going to have to be a signature career-making game here for Luckified, but honestly, he just sat back, relaxed, and watched the enemy team crumble in front of him. So, honestly, you take those, and should be pretty good now. Mint standing 1-0 over, sorry, Bollywood Billionaires.
There you
My
go.
camera was loading, my brain was loading, same exact thing.
Happens to the best of us, but we're going to see if BB are going to end up falling 2-0 or if Mint are going to have to take us to game 3. When we come back after this, we'll be jumping into the draft for game number 2. So don't go anywhere. We'll see you on the other side of this. Welcome back, everybody. We're here getting ourselves ready for the draft of Game 2 between BB and MYNT. And as you guys have heard over the past 7 weeks, there's something we like to do here at the Vanquisher stream. We make ourselves a little special, a little unique. Our producer gives us 3 champions, 3 skins specifically, and we have to decide to kiss, marry, or kill. This week, in honor of T1's literally historic three-peat, we decided, why not just pick some of the T1 skins between SKT T1 Syndra, T1 Lee Sin, and SKT T1 Callista. Fairly varied opinions across the board, with our producer and observer agreeing with each other as they normally do. They like to do a lot of things that we don't get to see in the video ninja behind us.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we'll just start off with where on the left. So we had this discussion when we were talking about these picks. I killed Syndra, which apparently offended them very, very greatly, Golden and Loki.
It's a little offensive, but I'm gonna hear you out. I'm gonna let you cook.
Okay, I'm just saying, Syndra is blue on that skin. She is so blue, and that's why she's got to go.
Are you
That's
saying
all
you
I'm
have a
saying.
problem with different skin colors than your own, GG? Is that what I'm hearing from
No,
you?
no, we're not going there. We're not going there. But I'm just saying blue is not a typical skin color. If I see blue, I think someone's anemic. Like, really anemic. Like, to the point where they might die. So I'm just gonna say it. Let's put her out of her misery.
Jesus. That's a bit much. I said I was gonna marry Lee Sin, and I was the only one to say marry Lee Sin. I actually had you and I had unique picks as opposed to Golden and Loki that said no, we're gonna go with the crowd. I was also the only one to decide to kill Callista, and I thought that was gonna be a more popular opinion. Have you seen what her model looks like with that skin on? It's horrifying.
Oh yeah, I mean it's like a ghoul, but like it's like a skinwalker, to be honest.
Yeah, it is a literal skinwalker, and I know a lot about mythology. I'm not letting a skinwalker anywhere near me. So, sorry, Callista. You got a lot of baggage. You look like a skinwalker. You walk like a skinwalker. Bang, bang, you know how it goes.
Okay, true. I will say the only reason I'm picking Callista for marriage is because she once also loved as well.
She did,
So,
in the hit Riot Games book, The Ruination.
yeah.
We were
so
talking about that earlier today, actually.
Unless I die first, maybe she'll be able to find love. You know?
As long as you don't betray her, which is kind of like her whole thing.
Well, like, slip me how much money? I don't know. I can be bought.
Don't pull a hacker him, come on. But yeah, I think the picks across the board were very reasonable. I'm a little sad to see nobody go for Lee Sin as marriage material. That one hurts me because I feel like Lee Sin, he's the type of guy who would commit. You know that Lee syndrome whenever he hits that sonic wave and he's just like, I hit the ability, I have to follow it up, I have to go through with it. That's commitment in my mind. Plus he's got the shields, he can keep you alive.
I think the skin is a little too gaudy for me. I don't know. I don't know what it is. Even though he has
Look,
a skin where
scars
he's
are hot.
literally a god, which is what is it?
Godfist Lee Sin?
Yeah,
Or are you
Godfist
talking
Lee
about
Sin.
Immortal Dragon Lee Sin, which
No,
is a different one
Godfist.
where he's also a god.
Yeah, well, Godfist, actual god, but not as gaudy as this skin somehow. So, you know, that definitely plays a factor for me. Gotta say it.
I guess I can understand that. I look at his chest and I lose some of the words in my mouth. You have to understand.
Hey, and either way, KT should have won that final if BDD had one teammate. You know, it is what it is.
I will say I nearly had a perfect perfect knockout pick'ems, but
By the way,
I had too much hope. I got too excited. I said that KT was gonna win, and you know what? Honestly, it's my fault that KT lost. I got excited about them.
Yeah, you predicted. Yeah, that's all you. Definitely. One of my favorite teams, but
coming into the knockout stage, I was like, oh, wouldn't it be really cool if we had a T1 versus KT finals? I'm just gonna pick that as my prediction, and if it ends up happening, I'm super happy. I was not expecting KT to beat Gen G.
I was not expecting T1 to beat AL, to be honest.
I believe that they had that in them. Yeah, T1 is a different beast when they play against the LPL. They are literally undefeated in best of fives versus the LPL.
That is true, but it was still very close.
It was very close.
Game 5.
Yeah, Owner had the first time Mundo jungle on stage.
Still ran it down, and they still won.
Yeah, because Mundo, look, I'm gonna be real. There's nerfs coming up for him. I still think Mundo is probably broken, and probably jungler should just be picking this guy.
Yeah, highest
top
win
laners
rate
too.
champion at Worlds with least games, or with at least 5. But yeah.
Did he have more than 5
did
games?
win.
I don't remember. He got it. Okay. I have to look at
6-0. 6-0.
I have to look at the crystal ball pick'ems. I didn't see how many points I got for that, but in our production chat we had a little
I got cooked.
Scoreboard thing, a bracket of who was going to have the best one. I was in the lead for almost the entirety of the time, and then because I picked KT wrong and Satyr picked T1 to win, I ended up getting second place, and I'm only a little bit mad about it.
That is how that goes. T1, huh? It's actually Sems. So shout out to Sems. I'm looking right now.
Wait, did Sems actually slip ahead of me with the
170. Yeah. Oh, Crystal Ball. I'm not sure. I'm looking at the normal
No,
bracket.
I thought it was Sater. Maybe he swapped his name over to Sems. Maybe I'm insane. I might be insane. I don't know.
I don't know. But somebody, number one.
Look, if
T1
Sems
is
win
their
it, that
win.
just means he rigged it because he owns the league.
That is how that goes. I have a completely incorrect bracket besides I predicted Gen G to beat HLE. Wow, what a surprise.
Nice.
Let's go.
Yeah, who would have seen Gen G beating HLE coming?
Oh, way. And then KT definitely was always going to win against Gen G.
I'm looking at my crystal balls right now. They actually weren't terrible. I got Baron steals right. I got the reverse sweeps right. I got Teemo not getting picked right. Way to go, me. Saw that one coming.
Yeah, that one is definitely... That was the freebie. But honestly,
Yeah.
a team should have seen that and just picked Teemo just to fuck with it. Sorry,
The-
language, but...
The champion picks was actually the one that I was a little upset that I didn't get more right. I thought Azir was going to be most banned, but I didn't. I expected T1 to not ban Yunara every single game they possibly could, and if they didn't, I would have been right. Azir was the second most banned at the tournament.
Yeah.
I'm only a little bit mad about that, but that's fine. I also didn't expect Silas to go 0 for 5. That was a shocking one.
They just kept picking him in the jungle, and they said, "Yeah, this will work." Or they one of them games he got blind picked.
Yeah, I think it
B1.
was. I think Faker picked it mid and lost with it in finals, didn't he?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah,
So-
we are just waiting on draft to finish up so we can get into there as quickly as possible. We enjoy yapping and having you guys with you. We got about another 30 seconds. GG, do you have any picks that we're expecting to see in this game number 2? Because after game number 1, I'll draw your minds back to the shellacketing that happened after 15 minutes as MYNT took game number 1. What do you think we're going to be seeing coming into the second game? Do you think we're going to be seeing similar bans at the very least, or what's going to
I
change?
definitely think the bans will probably stay the same. We don't typically see too many things come through unless a Kali somehow makes it out of the ban phase. If they swap sides, I could see that potentially getting picked up. Kali was something I think both of these mid laners actually play a lot, so they are actually staying on the same side.
Same sides,
So
okay.
that's confirmed. So assuming bans are exactly the same, which there's a decent chance of.
It happens a lot in Fearless. It tends to be the picks no longer stay the same, but now the bans stay the same. Which, weirdly enough, I feel like if I remember back in other series, like before Fearless happened, which is a crazy thing to think about, and all of like the people were so mad when Fearless was getting introduced. They were like, "No, the game's gonna be terrible. Don't make them do Fearless. Let the pros pick the good champions." I can't believe we ever had not Fearless in our game. This is insane to me.
Yeah, and soon we might have coach comms. I don't know how
Yeah,
I feel about that.
I did hear about that. I don't know. I feel like that's a
Depends on
whole
the
other can of
implementation.
worms. Yeah,
Yeah.
implementation and how it's going to be overseen by Riot obviously matters. But like we said, size staying the same. You can see those Fearless bans down on the bottom as Draven's going to get banned away. So far, bans still the same. 1 ban in, 100% perfect prediction from you so far. Bans remaining the same. I'm
Wukong
expecting
Jarvan.
that. Yeah, we will probably see the Wukong Jarvan keep those jungle pools away. I think we're probably going to see at least a similar style from BB. It seemed like that aggressive in your face, we're playing aggressive early game was something that they were comfortable with, even if they didn't end up piloting it to success in that first game. So I expect that we will see aggressive jungler, aggressive top laner, probably a good 2v2 bottom lane, something that likes to play up in the face, but I wouldn't be shocked if we maybe saw them play a little bit more weak side to allow for that aggressive top laner to play through. But we'll have to see as the bans continue to come through. Gwen and the Kali go away, the Wukong to Jarvan, one more to go, and it's just going to be a matter of what does MYNT want on that first pick.
First pick, yeah, it's exactly the same band, so I could see something like a Talia potentially if they want to stick with kind of that mid flex role that they picked up with the Smolder in the first draft as well. So if they want to swap it up, they could pick something like a support.
Ooh,
Not exactly what I was thinking, but Seraphine is definitely something that's
the
very
triple
strong.
flex.
Triple flex, yep. I always say that this champion does great into Kassadin, so don't pick Kassadin here. Even though that champion has been proven to be terrible, because if Jojo Pian with that game state can't win, is just a terrible champion.
Yeah.
We do see
So
the Zinja lock in, so all those AD jungler bans gonna finally pay off here, and we're gonna get the combo here, the lore duo.
Yeah, I mean, look, the last time these two paired up in the lore, one of them did die. So I think as long as
a
we don't see
terrible
Mint
death.
pick LeBlanc, they're probably okay.
LeBlanc was actually quite one of the most banned champions at Worlds.
It was up there. I remember it was Azir, it was Yunara, then Azir, and then one other champion. I
Yeah.
also got the most picked champion at Worlds totally wrong. I thought Rakan was going to see a lot more play.
But we're seeing Jinx here. So Jinx Seraphine is a combo that exists. I think it's pretty decent. It's not something like an Ashe Seraphine, for instance, which really can tear up the bot lane, but does provide a bit of support there. They're just going to lock up the Lulu here for, kind of matching the range matchup on the bot side and
a much less aggressive
a Seraphine flex towards mid and then picking up the Lulu to support the Jinx on the bot side. But seeing stuff like Galio ban, they definitely do think it'll be that pairing on the bot side.
Yeah. I wouldn't be shocked if we saw the Seraphine get flexed over to mid lane. I think Elvark is the kind of player who would be able to pull that off. It's just going to be a matter of what they actually want to do with it. I'm a little surprised to see the BB bottom lane opt for something that is a lot more passive, but I think, to me at the very least, this says that they want Flans on a high leverage, maybe a little bit coin flippy even top laner. We might see like a set or something up here in the top side, something that says, hey, I need jungle pressure, I need jungle attention, let me try and solo win the game for us in the side lane and just become unstoppable.
Yeah, and there's the Rise as well. Flans is going to have the final counter pick here, but the Jax will be confirmed into either top or jungle at that point, so we'll be able to actually pick up something pretty strong, but we are going to get a Cho'Gath, which could also get flexed towards mid.
I like a blind Cho'Gath though. I'm a fan of a blind Cho'Gath. There's not a lot of picks that actually can force him out of lane and punish him just because of the sustain that he has. The Seraphine is going to end up opting into the mid lane as we're going to see Renata with the Jinx. It is a lot of magic damage, but for any like singular character that you're going to have be your solo physical damage threat, I think Jinx is one of those ones that you're happy with, as Olaf is going to be that last pick. That's funny because I did say actually unstoppable. That's a great pick into the Cho'Gath or even into the Jax, depending on which one ends up going into
Seraphine,
the top side.
they all hate this champion. So honestly, I really like the Olaf. I will
Ragnarok
say
goes crazy this game.
Still got to get an early lead into this Cho'Gath. We similar tone as last game for Flans. So we'll have to see if that actually works out for them. Besides that, I mean, you got a pretty solid core of just the Yunara, Xin Zhao, Lulu, and then a Rise, which can play kind of role piece for the side of the Billionaires. I don't know. It's once again MYNT drafting a composition that looks kind of hard to execute.
But it scales.
Once it hits scaling and once it gets to those team fights, it should be a lot easier to actually be able to navigate the game. So I don't know. Do I bet on the Bollywood Billionaires to actually come out with a big early lead, or do I think MYNT's just gonna bunker down like they did in the last one and find a good fight early on to kind of steady that game state? So I don't know.
I will say the big worry I have for BB for this draft in particular is how do they actually engage? You have Noah who's able to just kind of run forward, and even Flans who's able to run forward because they have a Lulu behind them. Xin Zhao and Olaf with Enchanters, if you remember, I think it was like 2021, 2022, LS used to scream about this all the time. If you're going to pick Xin, if you're going to pick Olaf, pair them with an Enchanter, make sure that they have the ability to just kind of sprint forward, mash their face into the enemy comp. I think that works for them, but it's not the same kind of snap engage that something like a Leona, a Nautilus allows for you to have. You don't really have a lot of instant access to that Jinx in the backline, and she has a lot of protection. Seraphine recently got changed with her W, so it applies a little bit more healing in the 2v2, but it doesn't do as much with the full 5 members, so teamfight healing will be a little bit weaker for the Seraphine, but you still have the Renata and the Cho'Gath just as like bruiser bodyguards, the bailout as well, just making sure that like, hey, if you're going to take down this Jinx, it's going to cost you a lot. And I don't know if BB has a deep enough wallet to pay those costs. I worry that Rise and Yunara may not be able to follow up very well with the Lulu and that Xin Olaf running in the front line. I think MYNT has a lot of answers to the questions that BB are asking, and I still have a few more questions for BB.
Yeah, I think if I had to think of how they engage, it would typically, for a weird comp like this, it would be, okay, you realm warp some of your more aggressive members into the backline. However, you are dealing with a Renata, a Seraphine, and a Cho'Gath. Maybe the three of the 10 or so champions that have sweeping AoE abilities that can kind of
Mhm.
do a lot of work in a very small
Really
portion.
good disengage.
Yeah. So I think it's gonna be pretty difficult for the side of BBD actually finding Gage, as you were saying. So
Mhm.
it's really gonna come down to, can they come out to an early lead? Because if Yunara is really strong, I can see Mint having a difficult time locking her down. So that's definitely going to be one of the main win cons for them. And whether that actually comes true or not is just has to be seen, considering how the
Yeah.
last game actually went with that Tristana and Nautilus, which in theory should be a very much more dominant lane than this one.
Yeah. Neither of these teams really has that immediate go button. We're not seeing like last game with the Nautilus, with the Scion, those ultimates that are like, hey, we're gonna start a fight now, whether you like it or not. But for Mint, I think that's actually okay, because the later the game goes, the better things get for them. You have Jackson Cho'Gath with his technically infinite scaling as long as he gets to eat champions, but that's not really feasible. But he scales really hard. Jax scales really hard. Seraphine and Jinx also scale really hard into the late game. Whereas for BB, Yunar late game is scary. Rise late game is absolutely scary, but Olaf and Xin Zhao eventually will fall off a cliff. They are not going to be those big menacing forces unless they get incredibly fed early on into the game. And we saw last game, BB was reliant on that top jungle getting really fed, getting far ahead. They had a couple of leads, but Flans especially, I think we had a couple of questions for the laning phase. The Darius didn't end up working out versus the Scion, so I think if we see Flans have a good laning phase on this Olaf, is able to bully out an ego on the Cho'Gath, is able to get a strong laning advantage, and is able to pressure it onto the map, much better spot for BB. I can see them winning this game, but I think without that, they're going to struggle.
Yeah. Keyhall also could be a pretty pivotal player. The Rise should have an easy time into the Seraphine, at least just to be able to survive it out and maybe even find some surprise solo kills, but it's really on just Alvaric to just scale up. Seraphine has
Mm-hmm.
always been one of the hardest scaling champions in the game because she provides everything: CC, damage, healing, shielding. So every stat she gains is something that could be beneficial to her as she kind of levels out into the game. So can Keyhall find enough with the Xin Zhao combo? Because that 2v2 is very strong. Rise Xin
Mm-hmm.
Zhao is like one of the pivotal 2v2s that you do end up relying on. There just aren't the best early game pieces around those two champions. So can Noah really lock it down with Keyhall and Flans? That is a big question. And Xin Zhao often is countered by Jax Jungle. This is why you pick Jax Jungle. It is for the Xin
Yeah.
Zhao matchup. So pretty curious to see whether you're actually going to be able to come out to a really good early lead and shut down this potential scaling composition. But yeah, we're just
I
waiting to get
do
in.
I do actually think that BB might have even been happier if Keyhall was on the Seraphine and they were playing versus the Rise. Just because having Seraphine and Lulu being able to supercharge this front line that they have might have given them, at the very least, if not the engage with the Encore, at the very least, like the, hey, we're going to speed you up and you're going to walk into the enemy team. But they have the Rise, they have Realm Warp, so it's going to be on Keyhall to find some unique angles, get access for Noah and Flans onto the backline, but these are questions that are all going to be answered once we actually get onto the raft. And hopefully we'll get there soon. We're still waiting to hear on the state of the remake and making sure that we can actually get into game. It sounds like we're about a minute away as we're in the loading screen, so hopefully we'll be in there soon. Now, obviously we have the what I would call the baggage of last game, where we saw Mint just play that passive scaling game and do it very well. They just kind of rolled with the punches and said, hey, BB, you can play aggressive, but we're just going to play into it, and that's fine. With the nameplates off, do you think you have any more confidence in this BB composition if you're looking at just these 5 champions versus what Mint has? Do you think you feel any better about that at the very least?
It feels slightly better, but they had at least a very big prio as far as finding picks in the last game, whereas this one, it really does rely on them just outstatting the opponent. But I will say Olaf versus Cho'Gath is a much more dominant matchup than Darius is into Scion. Just by the numbers, Olaf, I believe, is like 52% favored, something like that, into Cho'Gath. So it should be quite solid of a champion pick against the Cho. And if they can actually find a big lead in the top lane, I could see them translating that well. You have the Lulu. There's even a thought that Keyhall could have just played something like a Karma here, and it would have been actually pretty good.
I would not have hated that, actually.
Yeah, and you just play around this Olaf, getting a really big lead over Cho'Gath, and then kind of steamrolling this Renata Seraphine Jack's composition, but that's not the world we live in. So, it still is going to rely very heavily on how Flans actually plays this out. So, going to need a bigger performance there since you don't have that easier engage of the Alistar, or this, excuse me, the Nautilus and the Pantheon.
Yeah, no, none of those point and click go buttons, and I think that's really the big question mark we have for this draft. Neither team has that quick and easy engage, but MYNT is kind of fine playing the passive scaling game, whereas BB, they need to be up in the face of MYNT, and this is a decider match, do or die. If BB don't win this, then they are done for the season, and if MYNT wins here, they get to move on to playoffs as we're on to the Rift now. Thank you for your patience as we get into here for game number 2 of MYNT versus BB.
Yeah, we're starting off with a pretty standard 5-point here. Nothing too crazy. No weird rune choices from what I could tell. So we're getting a very standard 5v5 with nothing too special mixed in. So once again,
With
a lot of the game state.
I think it is worth mentioning that with the nerf to Unsealed Spellbook and the buff that went over to Guardian, Bots Maven is going to opt for that for the Jinx, which I think is objectively the correct call to go with here. I think that's the right decision. I think the Guardian buffs were maybe even a little bit much. I wouldn't have even minded seeing False take that for Mani, but so we get a little bit of good manners here in the mid lane. Keyhall and Olvarik at the very least are having a good time.
Yeah, just dancing it out. Got some DDR action there for Seraphine. But here we go, just starting into game 2 here. Of course, this is extremely important for BB to actually win this game to be able to make it to playoffs. Whereas MYNT just needs to secure this final game for themselves to just, kind of mosey on in with a pretty easy time. So,
unfortunately, the camera's sitting directly on mid lane, so we got to see Keyhall miss both of those minions. That's a rough one.
That's a good start. Definitely.
It should even out over time, but that doesn't feel great as Myers and Bot Maven actually taking aggressive trades versus Mani and False here, and you can already see potions starting to be popped, but it's biscuits for Mani, so even with the nerfs, still relying on that extra bit of sustain, whereas Myers has opted to not take that rune, and I think we'll see more of that as time goes on.
Yeah, biscuits still very good for some lane dominance, and we're talking about how they need to come out to some early leads here, so taking the biscuits makes a lot of sense to me. We are seeing now in the top side Flans already 5 CS up, but the 5 CS is right in front of Inigo here, so should be pretty chill to be able to grab it. Got the wave in a pretty decent spot to be able to just kind of trade out and survive here. Cho'Gath always does have very good sustain in lane just due to that passive. So it really is just making sure you aren't in a really bad position when Olaf actually does hit one of those undertows. That's it.
Undertows, there you go. It is. I think it really is going to be a battle of Flans' mana bar versus Montoya's health bar in this early game. Doran Shield and Second Wind did get a couple of nerfs in the last patch, the one before this one, as Flans is actually going to get a little aggressive here as Luckified has to be careful. Noah is also spotting him out. The Jax does have level 3, so has that Counter-Strike available, is going to force Noah back at the very least, but Flans has the Undertow chasing him down, but not under turret, and they're going to force the Jax out of their jungle, and the counter pick the Jax into the Xin, getting a little behind early in the game.
Yeah, nice leverage there by Flans to just walk into the jungle and make it so Luckified. Jax is a good scaling champion, but does have a bit of a rough time clearing early on, so just interrupting that clear and making it very difficult for Luckified to find anything, and he made the wrong call trying to go to the bot side here of BB, so won't be able to grab up any kind of consolidation gold, so that is going to be a pretty rough start here for the jungler of MYNT.
Didn't catch what buffs that Noah was holding on to, had that blue buff on him, but just didn't spot it in time, so walked into the blue side of the jungle, doesn't manage to find anything, is just forced to get an early recall, and that's going to mean a very big camp lead for Noah, so now the aggression can really come through for Xin, and once that first recall comes off, we're going to see that big gold difference this early on in the game.
Yeah, already going for a recall here for the Jax, just to be able to maybe get some tempo back as far as items are concerned. We'll be back for those Krugs respawn, so it's not going to be complete end of the day, but still 12 CS down, going to be going pretty strong here for the Xin Zhao, at least starting off here for Noah, and a good CS lead already established in the top side as well, so everything going the way of BB so far, but this is kind of what we were seeing in the other game as well, except some unfortunate solo kills in the top lane kind of levied against that, but Now they
Yeah.
should have at least a good time. Cole bot up here for Monty.
Yeah, and I think that's the right call. You're going to be playing for a little bit later in the game. You are not the lane that is reliant on hard winning the early game. You're not forced to play into the Jinx Renata to hyper win your level 1, level 2 to be ahead in the game. You're not a Tristan the Nautilus, so Monty is able to play a little bit more passive, try and get to that 2.5, 3 item spike before you really start punching face.
Yeah, now just kind of farming it out. I think mid lane's going to be the most passive. Seraphine generally just likes to sit on a turret and press Q to farm. While not really trading too much unless kind of prepping for some sort of gank or maybe joining up for some sort of jungle objective, which we're seeing already. Noah leveraging the extra camp lead he had from the early game to actually just start up the Drake here. Should be pretty free since Jax is in the other side. Also, Keyhall is going to spawn out Luckified here.
Yeah, level 4 versus level 6. Phase Rush pops, but the Counter-Strike gets the stun. Keyhall, though, still has the movement speed, so still will be able to walk out. This is just going to get back into Noah's red side jungle, and we'll be able to pick up the Raptor camp at the very least, but you're losing an Ocean Dragon for it. It's just going to be a matter of... Again, this is what we saw in game number 1, so it's not as though MYNT is suddenly out of the game and struggling and never have a chance, but if we see BB cleaned it up, we could go to 3 here.
Yeah, it is looking... you know, pretty decent here. Still looking for a home here for Luckified, but it's trying to look towards the top side. But Flans is just so strong at this point. It can be pretty difficult. Ball's doing a good job of poking.
Yeah, Lulu does plenty of damage early on in the game, as Monty's also going to stack that lethal tempo and get plenty of damage into Bots Maven as well. Now those members are super low, as Noah's here as well, looking to potentially set up a dive, as I think Myers and Bots Maven, yeah, they're just going to be forced back. They have Ghost on the Jinx, and they already used it, so no real defensive options left available, and they're just going to be forced to back off, and Monty's going to be able to deny a whole bunch of CS and a couple of plates as well.
Ghost is pretty surprising in a double ranged bot lane, but you know, just confident that they'll make it to the late game. Once again, that has just been the posture here for MYNT. They aren't too concerned with an early lead here for BB, but it's slowly getting a little bit wider. 1.1k here for the Bollywood Billionaires, so pretty interesting to see whether they'll be able to translate it. It always is going to come down to that first really big fight once everyone hits their level 6 mark.
Ooh, canceled out the recall. Massive win for Bots Maven there. In reality, it's not going to matter too much. The timing should not be that different for the Lulu. She even still has flash and heal up as well, so technically she could stay and just try and even out the XP discrepancy, but it actually is going to end up doing that. I think this is the right call. Even has a chance to try and potentially hold the wave and keep it out of turret range, as Flans gets a good trade into an ego. And this is the thing with Olaf versus Darius. You're much less committal when you're taking trades like this. That undertow having that extra range means that you can play a little bit more safely, and you don't have to worry about being under turret when you take an all-in.
Yeah, and you know, just the cost of trading is pretty chill, because you always have that extra lifesteal that Olaf always has access to. And once you get low, yes, okay, Cho'Gath can execute you, but if that bar never crosses that line to be able to get that ultimate through, it's just pretty difficult time, and especially since Inigo has just been prioritizing stacking on the minions. It's definitely something that he has to be pretty careful with for that Olaf.
Early grubs are going to go over to B, and this is what happens when your jungler gets a lead. They're able to just play that aggressively out and just pressure down the early objectives. You're even going to force into Luckified's jungle and take that blue buff camp again. It will be Luckified going over to the blue buff, as flash is going to be used by Keyhall there. The Encore expended from Ulvarik. And suddenly Seraphine feeling a little bit stronger in the 1v1.
Yeah, pretty good play there. Seraphine.
Oh, transcend oneself. Monty is going forward. Exhaust down. Bots Maven doesn't have level 6 yet, but handshakes Monty in. Looking for a potential trade back as Luckified is in the area. Flash in. Monty's forced to flash out. Hugify use from False as well alongside that heal. So everyone else will walk away, and Plans maybe in a little bit of trouble here, actually. No mana on the Olaf. No. Does have the Ghost, but has to sidestep the knockup, gets away from that, but Inigo Montoya flashes for the feast and finds first blood again.
Oh, we can't be getting solo killed again here for the side of Flans. Another winning matchup, just overextending a little bit again, gets punished, and now MYNT. This is the kind of thing that stabilizes a game like this. So pretty good play there from Inigo Montoya. Oh, it just hurts to see a little bit for me.
Yeah, that's a big deal for Inigo to pick up. As we mentioned, Olaf versus Cho'Gath. This is an even more winning matchup than Sion versus Darius. So now the Cho'Gath in a much happier position as Noah will spot him out on the Krug camp here. Inigo actually might be in a bit of trouble. Has no flash. The Realm War coming up as well. Yeah, this is just going to be one dead robot man. It's a nice knock up onto Noah, but they should just be able to gift the kill over to Flans if they want to. Wind becomes lightning for the slow. Flans finds the auto, denies the assist from Keyhole, and wastes a lot of time, but a little bit of an overextension from the Cho'Gath.
Yeah, Alvark's going to try and get the wave in, but it looks like it's not going to be able to actually crash. So pretty good play there. Free roam for the Rise. And just going to be able to grab the rest of these CS. So very well played here, but, you know, Inigo gets punished, but at the cost of Flans losing a lot of lane pressure. Should even out the gold a decent amount, but, you know, at least it's a 300 gold stimulus check for the Olaf at the very least.
Yeah, he's also going to start proxy farming as he has that Tiamat in inventory. Handshake from Bots Maven just to deny any want of falling forward for Mani and False. Infernal Dragon has spawned up, and Luckified and Noah are on this bottom side, so both teams potentially looking for an angle to try and contest this. Luckified sees Keyhole on the move, realizes that he doesn't want any of this, pops the Counter-Strike just to make sure that Noah can't engage, goes for it anyway, gets the Crescent Guard, and Luckified is just going to get caught out of position. Keyhole finds the kill, and now with no jungler, BB should just have full control over this jungle.
Yeah, and they are also going to be able to grab up that Drake as well. Olaf did walk down, so it does give free time for the Cho'Gath. Just keep on farming on this top side, so pretty good play. And does also have Demolish, so there should be another free play. Did go for the ultimate there to actually try and steal it. Instead, Rise is the one who just catches it in the mid lane. And the game is going pretty decently here for the Billionaires.
Yeah, I think the Billionaires are much happier with the spot they're in at this point in the game than they were last game. Even with Flans ending up losing that 1v1 once on the top side, at the very least got the kill back and now has that Ravenous Hydra. So permanent sustain unlocked for the Olaf as opposed to the marginally permanent, as Mani's going to transcend herself again, but there's that handshake into the hostile takeover, just fully denies any sort of engage. Nice use there from Bots Maven.
Yeah, just able to kind of peel out that entire thing. Noah wants to crash his wave to give Mani some time to recall. With that mana pool extremely low.
Yeah, lands onto Myers. A lot of health lost for the Jinx, but that Guardian Shield is going to take up a little bit extra. But yeah, Mani not having any mana means that the chance for a dive is just so much lessened.
Yeah, but it looks like they still want to crash one more wave, and Noah is still in the area for a dive. Myers is not that high on HP, so if False finds some good poke here just to start it out, it could be pretty disastrous.
Yeah, exhaust still available, but Keyhole's in the area. 4v2, what can you do? Polymorph in the bailouts there, but I don't think they're going to be able to get anything back. Nice juggle on the aggro. Mani maybe dies, but the flash of the barrier, everything expended to make sure nothing is traded back. A nicely executed dive on the bottom side for BB, and should also net them first tower blood.
False, you can't block turret shots like that. Decides to try and go for the heal, just a little bit of a fat finger there, but still keeps the AD carry alive, and they keep that a perfect play on the bot side. Besides that little one, they are going to lose some damage. Now Keyhole TPing towards mid, wants to find a fight with Flans here onto Alvark, has to flash.
Flashes away, the Ragnarok's on for Flans. Doesn't get any auto attacks off, so it's just going to be forced to back off. Does not want to go for a turret dive versus the Seraphine with that Ragnarok running out, but still pretty big wins overall from BB. First item started to come through. The Robo already stacking for Rise. False opting for the Mikhail's first item, which I thought about for a second. No, that's actually objectively correct.
Yeah, that is quite, I mean, we were talking about how good Olaf is, and it's just because there is so much CC, so it makes a lot of sense to just grab up that Mikhail's early on. I will say, in that mid lane gank there, it might,
Alric is going to pop the charm. Keyhole has to flash away from Bots Maven. Does have False in the area, but False only has the heal. The shield's already expended. Can they keep Keyhole alive? The Mikhail's away from the Counter-Strike stun, and now Noah's in the area. This Zinzao is hopping mad. Nice stun from Alvark that was going to keep the rest of the team safe. Manages to line that up, and everyone will be able to disengage.
Yeah, now Noah's also going to be able to grab at the Raptor camp. So, looking pretty good here. They are leveraging their lead well. Mani now wants the solo kill.
Yeah, Mani transcends again, and Myers just doesn't have the defensive itemization. No chance of winning that 1v1. Mani smites him down.
Yeah, just in a good position there to find it. So, looking very good here for the side of Bollywood Billionaires. 3K gold up. This is exactly what you kind of want to see with this early game composition that they've drafted, with a little bit less early game than before. But still,
despite all the time that we had in draft, I didn't get to go on my little Jinx spiel. So now this is actually a perfect example of what not to do. When you have a Jinx composition drafted, you have the Seraphine Renata there as protection. You even drafted Jax Jungle Cho'Gath top, those tankier frontliners for her. But she's kind of been abandoned. You don't want to be leaving your Jinx alone in the side lane. And yeah, obviously losing the 1v1 to the enemy AD carry, that doesn't feel great. But your Jinx should never be in a spot to be 1v1'd in the first place. You either have to yell at her to get back under tower and stay safe, or set up more vision for her, be there to defend her, make sure that she has time and space to farm.
Yeah, and Yunara, especially when with a lead, can definitely be one of those dominant picks you have to watch out for. So yeah, I mean, this is looking a lot better. I'm just holding my breath a little bit because there is always the threat of just having no engage for the side of BB being kind of the death nail for them. So I'm just kind of waiting it out. They have the scaling advantage for MYNT, so they don't really feel too pressured until that third Drake goes down, and they're playing for soul point here, but they are looking to kind of just interrupt this Riptail maybe potentially, but this could just be Cho'Gath being annoying as he does.
Vigo's gonna get polymorph, but the Riptail's going down pretty quick. It is just gonna be taken down by Noah. Montoya wants to run forward. Charm's going to land, and Super Mega Death Rocket. All the damage comes through, but can they finish anyone off? They finally get body down, feasted by Montoya, and now the rest of the team gets to come through. Botsmaven has the bailout on, is actually gonna survive a massive turnaround from MYNT. Keyhall's gonna be forced out of their own room prison, but gets back into the Realm Warp just in time to escape. But it's gonna mean the Dragon will go over to MYNT even as the Rift Herald goes down.
Oh no, it's happening again. The engage force
It's
from
happening
the side
again.
of MYNT. The encore into the knockup there from the Cho'Gath, just massive pressure there, and that's gonna net them the Drake here. And I was just talking about, oh, they only need to feel pressured once, BB's about to hit their third Drake here, and guess what? They don't even get it. So all that glaze we were talking, for how good BB's playing, honestly, gone in a zip.
It feels like exactly what happened in game number 1. They had a couple of early leads, but a few bad plays, one bad fight just meant that it was all gone. And I think it's especially bad because BB would love to have that individual Chemtech Dragon, the heal and shield power for your Lulu, for your Xin, for your Olaf. And not to mention that, but also the tenacity, the CC being the huge problem that's coming from this MYNT composition. If you have that extra tenacity, if you get to the ultimate, if you get to the soul, and you have that extra bit of damage reduction as well, and that extra damage bonus, it matters so much. But now they're going to be delayed by an extra 5 minutes, and that's 5 more minutes for Jinx to get more gold, for Seraphine to get a second item, for Jax to get a second item. And this is the scary point for BB. You have to reassert control of the game right now, because if you don't, life's gonna get a lot more miserable.
Jinx with only one item, but definitely has a lot of gold in their pocket. I don't think has recalled in quite a while, so Meyer should be able to back for at least half of an item, if I had to guess. Is sitting level 10.
Is in there. And becomes Lightning lands onto Botsmaven, but a nice handshake means away. Mani, though, transcends herself again, looking for potential engage. Keyhall blast cones over the wall, looking for a potential fight, but it's just the disengage from MYNT. They just choose to walk away. They might lose their mid lane turret with the Rift Herald being popped, but it's outer mid lane turret at 20 minutes into the game. It's a loss, but I don't think it's the biggest loss on Earth. I don't think they care that much.
Yeah, now just False is going to be able to knock that turret in.
Myers takes plenty of damage. Encore used onto the backline alongside the hostile takeover. Noah will not be able to finish off Myers on the backside. Myers lives. Super Mega Death Rocket downtown, but it's not going to find the kill. Everybody manages to walk away, but now False is the one who's caught out. Luckified smacks her with the staff, and MYNT roar to life.
Oh, it's just so tough to watch. Alvaric finds a nice encore onto 2, and then immediately swept out as with Botsmaven's ultimate as well. So just a nice combo to kind of zone away everyone from Noah's engage, and now Keyhall gets caught.
Keyhall caught, picked out in the mid lane, a little too close to defending the turret. And Myers is excited and wants a couple more autos, but can't reach too far forward. And yeah, MYNT just continuously showing their resilience and coming back in these early games. They do not care about early leads. They do not care about any of your, we're going to fist fight you for the first 5 minutes. They're going to scale, they're going to take their time, and they're going to take their wins.
Yeah, very much so. Team Liquid 2020-esque with the way that they're playing these games out. They do not care how behind they get. Just one engage and is all they need, and suddenly these scaling picks are completely online. Jinx now kind of evening up with that Yunara. You have a 1.5k gold lead in the top lane for Inigo Montoya again in a counter matchup. This is as good as it's gonna be for them. This is yeah. That's a little bit unfortunate. I'm looking at the gold. I'm thinking, wow, this game at some point was 3k gold up for BB, and we're sitting at a completely dead even game.
Yeah, you can see remnants of where that lead was. Noah's still about 1,000 gold ahead of Luckified, but Luckified's not the main carrying central piece for this Mint composition. Myers has caught back up as an item and a half in, and yeah, Monty is at that 2-item point, so Yunara is going to be very strong, but how much time is Monty actually going to have in these fights? As Keyhole and Noah are looking to Realm Warp in, but I don't think this is the fight that they want, as they're stuck now in a 2v3. Noah pops that Crescent Guard instantly, and Luckified is forced to stand still as the Rune Prison comes down from Keyhole. With Flans on the way, with that Ghost on, everyone's going to be forced to back off. Montoya TPing in, is very tanky on the Cho'Gath, but is not that tanky. The hostile takeover, though, comes through and keeps Montoya safe. Pulse nearly dies to their own AD carry, but Myers with the zap from downtown. Monty transcends, but it's just to get on the run and go away faster, as this should just be Otacon over to Mint.
They can't find the damage there. You know, as soon as they Realm Warp in, there's just no damage follow-up to actually find the pick onto Alvaric there, who just placed an Encore right on top of Keyhole's forehead. And, you know, this is what I was talking about. Yeah, if this is any other composition you're playing against Realm Warp, I can't even speak. Monty's just gonna die.
Monty.
That's just how it is.
Overextended. You can't defend that turret. Montoya is a monster at this point. He can tank a turret all day, every day. He doesn't care.
Yeah, so as I was saying, Realm Warp could be used aggressively to find and engage, but not against this composition. So many sweeping abilities that kind of cover it completely. Keyhole now finding Alvaric in the side lane. Noah wrapping around Blast Plant.
Yeah, Alvaric should just be dead here. That's going to be shut down over to Keyhole, so the very least get something, but they're losing 2 turrets on the bottom side. They lost the Otacon. There's no real objective for them to find up here. It's just, life is just difficult.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to make much of a difference, especially if they're about to win this fight here. Luckified going in.
Nice 2-man stun from Luckified over the wall. Ragnarok out from Flans, but it's just running away from his own death. Another kill over to Montoya. Oh man, BB collapsing on the rift as we watch.
Yeah, now the next Drake up. This was once one of their sole win conditions here that they could play towards for the Bollywood Billionaires, but now it's looking like a feeble attempt. 4v4 on this bot side here. Okay, Luckified giving him a shot. Blast planning away, but it's not gonna matter too much. The poke's coming through.
They want to look for a potential dragon fight here, as it's gonna be into the backline for Noah, but he's just gonna get eaten alive. Montoya smites him down, and now it goes Jinx getting excited. Myers, it's a double kill over to Luckified. He's got the bailout as well. Myers nearly loses that 1v1, but just has enough raw damage. Does not care. Goes dominating. Second Chemtech Dragon to Mint, and the map is all Mint all day.
Yeah, it looks like a dire attempt here for the Billionaires to try and secure their position in playoffs, but it's not looking likely right now. The Jinx 628, the Cho'Gath 616 with 3.5 items at 23 minutes. I think just Cho'Gath alone can solo some of the members over on the side of the Billionaires, so I just don't see an angle, but I've been shocked by other things before, and I'm known to cast a curse. So, who knows?
So it was about 10 minutes ago where we saw Myers get solo killed in bottom side, 0-2-0 on the Jinx, down in CS, down in gold. Life is miserable for her, and I'm saying, this isn't how you play a Jinx comp. This can't be how you play. You have to defend your Jinx. This is much better. Suddenly 6-2-8, nearly 100% kill participation, 2.5 item Jinx. Now she's a lot happier.
Yeah, I just don't know how you get out of this whole Olaf's not winning. You have Rise, okay, kind of in an okay position, and
he's got 2.5
it has to come
items.
down to Yunara, but how is Yunara supposed to play the game? It's just Jax on your forehead, Cho'Gath on your forehead, and then if you somehow dodge out of those two, you still got to deal with Renata potentially just using the ultimate to just sweep over your new positioning, so it's just not going to be easy.
Twitch chat was having a discussion about Monty not taking the cleanse in this game, and there are a few points to taking the barrier for lane domination as well. Put that on pauses. Lucify, they know exactly where Noah and Flans are. The Ragnarok, again, forced to be used defensively. Over the top goes the hostile takeover, but I don't think it even matters. Lucified on our Rampage. Alvaric finds another kill. Life is just miserable for these BB members. We were talking about Monty not taking cleanse in this game, which I think is reasonable if you're playing for hardcore lane domination, but you get to this point in the game, and that's why we saw False go for that Mikhail's first, because you need the cleanse into all this CC. But False and Monty have been very disjointed in these fights, and yeah, even if the Mikhail's comes through, there's still a ton more CC that you need to be aware of. This feels like a game where you kind of need multiple cleanses.
Yeah, and now, you know, with Baron secured, they're going to have to find a pick somewhere, and we saw how them getting a pick before didn't really matter. The core composition of this Jinx Renata with one tank, either the Jax or the Cho'Gath, has just proven to be extremely powerful, and that just gives them options to kind of flex around. So unless there's just a big blunder here from MYNT, I just don't see a way for them to really throw this one away.
The game is fully in their hands to lose. They really would have to toss the ball straight into BB's hands for them to actually be in a losing position in this game. And granted, they do have a lot of shutdown gold to give over, so if a couple of picks comes through, if they find Myers on his own, if they get Lucified or Inigo Montoya, and Inigo Montoya especially would take a long time to get that pick, but if they can collect that shutdown gold and get it onto either Monty or onto Flans, maybe they have a chance. But I think even Flans at this point, you probably want the gold on Keyhall instead.
Yeah, Keyhall not even getting towards that third item is kind of rough. Only having that needlessly large rod is just, you need, I mean, Rise, this is just pitiful damage into the Cho'Gath. I was talking about how it's a lot of magic damage on the side of MYNT, but there really isn't any tanks to really capitalize on it. Like, guess what? On the opposite side, you have this giant Cho'Gath, which can very easily itemize armor and still take no damage from the Rise.
Yeah, this is why we see teams pick these scaling lanes, and they don't have to worry as much about having these winning laning phases. As Botsmaven is going to eat quite a bit of damage from those turret shots. The redemption there to get some health back as Myers gets excited with that turret kill. The inhibitor as well. They're just going to look for an end. They have the Baron buff in their pockets. Encore comes in. Everybody flashes away. We'll only find one, but that one member is Flans. He's going to end up losing a ton of HP. Hostile takeover doesn't find a lot of value. If BB are going to fight, this has got to be the angle. Noah's going to stay alive with that ultimate over the top as well. He's going to be able to have so much HP, but he's just going to get knocked down. Flans onto the back line, but he can't kill Myers. Has the bailout on top of him anyway. Myers goes crazy. A double kill over to Wolvarek. Another kill to Myers, and this series is done. MYNT have locked in playoffs.
MYNT make it through extremely dominantly. I mean, over kind of a bit of hardship in both these early games, but that's just the nature of the compositions. They showed, hey, we just need to survive, and we're pretty good at it as well. So they are able to actually just take the win here in pretty comfortable fashion, scoot their way straight into playoffs, and crush the hopes of the Bollywood Billionaires as they stood.
Yeah, unfortunate that the season has to end like that. They had, at the very least, the guts to pick those aggressive early game compositions, say, hey, we're going to try and punch you in the face, and if you let us, we're gonna win the game. But unfortunately, this is the disadvantage of those aggressive compositions, of those snowbally team comps. They're a little coin flippy. If you end up not hard winning the early game, if your top laner isn't super far ahead, if your jungler can't find those winning lanes to play through, you just get outscaled and lose, and there's not a lot of comeback opportunities for you. And I mean, we saw Myers getting picked on the side lane, going down 0-2. I was like, the Jinx is super far behind. They're going to have to funnel so much gold into her. This game should really be over. But they just played the composition perfectly. Not perfectly, but they played it to the point of, hey, we don't have to fight you. We can play passive. We can give up advantages. We're not down 10,000 gold at 10 minutes. The game is still in our hands.
Yeah, it's some of those points in the competition just felt unplayable. You know, when you have the Encore, when you have the Renata ult as well, just scooping over these, you know, kind of corridors that you'd normally like to play through with something like a Yunara and as well as an Olaf, it just doesn't look that great. That's why I was thinking you really just have to hard play through Olaf, but we just haven't seen that from the side of BB there to actually be able to really take advantage of the strength that Olaf brings into the composition. Wasn't strong enough to take down Myers at basically any point in the game where it mattered. And I think that really does come down to it. When you draft a composition around a certain pick, you kind of have to play towards it. And instead, it was looking like, okay, we gotta. Oh, it did not help. Noah came out to a pretty early lead and was trying to, play both sides. But you really just have to hard index because that's your way to win team fights later on. We saw even the Realm Warp attempt completely squandered because, hey, their champions are just good at dealing with that kind of gameplay.
Mhm.
So pretty hard draft to play out, but they had their window, and unfortunately they fell. So that's going to be Mintlocks playoffs in that 4th seed, maybe potentially 3rd seed. I haven't looked at the numbers, depending on who actually, if
I
they're able to lose
don't
or not.
think I think even if Akuma anti-tank weapons loses, they go down to 5-2. So I don't think they have a possibility of locking playoffs. So they are going to be locked in at that 4th seed. They're going to be in playoffs at the very least. They get that for themselves, and they've got a little bit of a long road to get to those to get to a deeper run in the playoffs. But they've shown here they know how to pilot these leaking compositions, which I think is sometimes a big weakness of some of our Vanquisher teams. They love playing aggressive. They love playing in your face. We love our Sets, our Olafs, our Dariuses. We like these aggressive in your face champions. And Mint is just showing the strength of what you can play when you aren't stuck in those aggressive roles, when you can play a little bit more passive, when you can draft around that Jinx composition, something I've been screaming for. I feel like since day one of me joining Titan, draft for the Jinx, play around the Jinx, let her carry you in the late game.
Yeah. And that's all I got from me. To be honest, we're going to be seeing you in playoffs next week, so make
Yeah,
sure
we have
to
playoffs
tune
next week.
in
We start
for
our
those
best
matches.
of
So
fives in the round of 12 on the 18th of November. Mark your calendars. We'll see you all then. But until that point, that's going to be it for us tonight. I've been What's a Birdie. That's been GG, our producer and observer, Golden Gad. Not Golden Gad, sorry. Other Golden. Golden Prime.
do it both.
And
No, kidding.
Low-Key. Making sure everything runs as smoothly as possible. We appreciate you all being here. And we'll see you next week when we come back with the playoffs. Have a good night.